Welcome again to another video lesson. Let me guide you as we are about to discuss about reflexive and intensive pronouns. Okay, reflexive and intensive pronouns are just two of the few types of pronouns that we have. Apparently, they both end in self if it's singular or selves if it's plural. Here are the examples. We have myself, ourselves, yourself, yourselves, himself, themselves, herself, and itself. Okay, let's focus on the first one. We have reflexive pronouns. Reflexive pronouns are basically a reflection of a subject or so. And again, they are used to refer back to the subject that is used. Reminder, a sentence changes its meaning when a reflexive pronoun is removed. So meaning to say, a reflexive pronoun is very important because again, when it is removed, the meaning of the sentence, the thought of the sentence actually changes. Let's have a look at the following examples. First one, I bought myself some new shoes yesterday. Again, what do you think is a reflexive pronoun used in the sentence? Okay, correct. The correct answer is myself. Now, as you can see it right here, and as given in the definition earlier, a sentence changes its meaning when a reflexive pronoun is removed. Here in this sentence, we have I bought myself. So clearly, you are buying the shoes for yourself. Or I is buying the shoes itself for the word myself. Now let's try now to remove the reflexive pronoun. So the thought will then be, I bought some new shoes yesterday. Is the idea still the same? Okay. The idea is no longer the same because here in the sentence, you no longer specify who you are buying it for. While when we have the reflexive pronoun there, it is very clear that the idea is that you bought yourself your own shoes. Okay, let's now proceed to the second sentence. The librarian stamped all the books by herself. What is the pronoun? Okay, correct. We have herself. So, let's read it again. The librarian stamped all the books by herself. Now, let's try to remove the pronoun. The sentence will then be, the librarian stamped all the books by. So, is the idea still the same when the pronoun is there? Yeah, of course. The idea is no longer the same because in this particular sentence, the librarian stamped all the books by doesn't have a complete thought anymore. So we'll have it as the librarian stamped all the books by herself to make it complete. Okay, next one is intensive pronouns. And when we say intensive pronouns, we have here the keyword intensify. Intensive, intensify. So under intensive pronouns, you are intensifying or basically emphasizing that this is that particular subject. Now, In comparison with that of a reflexive pronoun, an intensive pronoun will have this effect. A sentence will not change its meaning when an intensive pronoun is removed. Let's have the following examples. First, he himself will be the leader for the next activity. Again, a sentence will not change its meaning when an intensive pronoun is removed. So let's first identify the intensive pronoun used. What is the intensive pronoun? Okay, correct. The intensive pronoun used is the word himself. Now, again, intensive pronouns, even if you remove it, you will not change the meaning or the idea of the sentence. So we have here, he himself will be the leader for the next activity. So we are saying that he, whoever that guy is, will be the leader of the next activity. Now let's try to remove the intensive pronoun. He will be the leader for the next activity. Now, is the idea of the first sentence with the intensive pronoun still the same? With this one, without the intensive pronoun, is it a yes or is it a no? Okay, the idea is yes, it is still the same, that he or himself will always be the leader for the next activity. So again, intensive pronouns will not change the meaning of the sentence. Next one, she did it all herself. So let's have the pronoun herself, of course, it's the intensive pronoun. Now let's try to remove it. She did it all. Is the idea still the same and is still and the sentence is still the same? Okay, of course. And is the idea is still intact? Okay, yes, it is. So that's how you have it for intensive pronouns. Okay, so we have here a particular table showing us the comparison between a reflexive and an intensive pronoun. On the left side, we have here a reflexive pronoun, and of course, your main goal for reflexive pronouns is to reflect or to basically refer back to your subject. And commonly, again, when it comes to reflexive, the idea or the thought or the meaning of your sentence will change when your reflexive pronoun is removed. But when it comes to intensive pronoun, you have a different goal here, since when you use intensive pronouns, it is just for you to intensify or emphasize your subject. And again, when you remove your intensive pronoun, commonly the meaning of your sentence or the thought of your sentence will not actually change. Now, we have here 3 sets of examples. We'll have the first one. We have, I bought myself some shoes yesterday. Let's try to remove the word myself. So we'll have, I bought some shoes yesterday. So if we remove the word myself, you will then be given with the idea that you yourself bought the shoes, but it will no longer be highlighted that you bought the shoes for your own self. But when it comes to intensive pronouns, we have, I myself bought some shoes yesterday. Even if you remove the word myself, it will all still be clear that it was I who actually bought the shoes yesterday. So there, look at the other 2 sets of examples and you may compare it side by side. Now, let's try whether you can already identify the following sentences if ever they use a reflexive or intensive pronoun. Let's start with the first sentence. I should buy myself a new phone. First one, what is the pronoun? Okay, of course, myself. Now let's identify, is it a reflexive or is it an intensive pronoun? Should try to remove it. And if the idea is still the same, it is intensive, but if the idea is different, then it's reflexive. Okay, it is a reflexive pronoun. Okay, next sentence. The students themselves help the other kids. What is the pronoun? Okay, themselves. Is it a reflexive or is it an intensive pronoun? Okay, it's an intensive pronoun, correct. Next sentence. The faculty finished every modules themselves. What is the pronoun? Okay, themselves. Now, is it a reflexive or is it an intensive pronoun? Okay, that is an intensive pronoun. Okay, for the last sentence. Don't give yourself some headache over the lost pen. What is the pronoun? Yourself, correct. And what is the type of pronoun? Okay, that is reflexive. Okay, so that's it for reflexive and intensive pronouns. Now, let's have a quick review again before we end today's video lesson. So again, when it comes to reflexive pronouns, you use it to reflect or refer to the subject. Its absence may change the meaning of a sentence. But when it comes to intensive pronouns, you use it to intensify the importance of the mentioned subject, or to simply put it, you use it to emphasize the subject. So that's it for today. I hope you learned a lot about reflexive and intensive pronouns. You may answer the post activity later on. And if you have any questions, just feel free to ask me again if you have one. So again, that's it. Have a nice day to everyone. Goodbye.